What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be diving into the CMB made knives Darma. Let's get into it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some size comparisons, profile comparison. We'll give a weight on the knife, and then I will give you my thoughts and impressions. Let's go ahead and start with some size comparisons to the Darma. First, we're going to bring out the Pony Stout, and we're going to bring out the Syncut Serene, just so that you can see this is definitely a more full-size knife. The Pony Stout is a sub 3 inch, definitely a small knife. This is definitely bigger than what I would refer to as a medium knife. We'll go ahead and bring a medium knife out here. And we're going to start with the Benchmade bug out. We'll go ahead and move the Serene out of the way, and then we'll bring in another large knife for comparison. Here it is against the ProTech Mordax. So I think of the bug out as more of a medium style knife, and the ProTech Mordax is definitely more of a larger knife, and it looks like overall length is very similar to the Mordax. All right, let's go ahead and move the bug out of the way, and we'll bring in the AD 20.5, another medium EDC that I really like, and then we'll move the Mordax out of the way. And we're going to go ahead today and we're going to bring out the tactile knife Maverick, which I think is going to be a very nice comparison when you look at the overall slender profile of these two knives on the top, and then you have more premium materials going on here. So since this is a larger knife, let's do a profile comparison to the larger knives and see how thin or thick the knife is. So here it is against the Maverick, and as you can see against the Maverick, it is definitely a thicker knife. I'm going to set the Maverick over here for just a moment. We'll grab the Serene and bring the Serene back over here, and as you can see that the Serene is just a little bit thinner overall as well. I don't think we need to bring the Mordax out at this point, so I'm just going to grab my scale real quick, bring that out here so we can get a quick weight. Sorry, I'm trying to find the shade there so that you can see just how much it weighs. So 4.4 ounces. Just curious against the full titanium Maverick what that difference is. So coming in under 4 ounces at 3.8. Very interesting comparison, and I thought that was definitely important to point out. So this is actually another more premium variant that is coming from CMB made knives. You have a drop point M390 blade that has a flat grind. This one here has a black wash on it. You can see this has definitely been through the pass around. See some residue. You can see some of the scarring from the cuts that have happened on this particular knife. A little bit harder to get the black to show up on screen. There you go. You can see some more. So this has definitely been passed around and used and cut. But I'm happy to report the M390 still has good bite, and it did seem to perform really well. And you can see right. Let me turn it right side up so you're not looking upside down. The M390 right there on that flipper tab. So I'm going to start with the ergos. The ergos on this are pretty good. I wouldn't say they're wowing or outstanding, but they definitely do a good job filling the hand. So I can get all 4 fingers on there comfortably. I don't have to squeeze up. I got plenty of space. The chunky nature of the handle is also very comfortable. It makes it very easy to get a nice full purchase on here. The thumb just naturally lands on top of that opening hole, deployment hole. I really like that a lot. And it has what I would call a first knuckle choil on here. So if you do need to choke up to do that detail work, you can. You're right behind the edge there. I'm hoping that's showing up pretty well for you. I'll show you on this side as well. But if you try to go any further with larger hands, you're going to end up kind of on the blade. So it's definitely more just for that first knuckle, just to choke up and do a little bit of detail work, which is great. I appreciate that. No complaints for that whatsoever. At least it's not too small that I can't get anything in there. Access to the lock bar is okay. The fact that it is a thicker knife or a more chunky handle anyway, you get a lot of room in here to be able to get in there with the finger. And since the access is not that great, they did what, in my opinion, should be done, and they did some jimping right here so that you can easily connect and actuate that lock bar, even if you're just laying it flat, coming in from the side, or if you're pulling up on the lock. It works really well on all three methods because that jimping is on there. Again, nested liner lock in here, or I don't know if you would call that a bolster lock. I would definitely say it's a nested liner lock. You do have bolsters on here with fat carbon or shredded carbon overlays on the knife, which is really nice. But the lock bar is locking up looking at the knife directly. I would call that about 30 to 35% nice solid lockup. No lock rock, no side to side play. And again, that disengagement is nice because they added the jimping. It's just the access to the lock bar is a little tight on there. It's not awful. And the action on here, I would definitely give this a very smooth action. It's not going to be a guillotine. It's not going to fall shut. There's just enough weight on the blade for it to fall down, and it's really satisfying to deploy with that flipper tab, whether you like to push button or light switch. Very nice. That opening hole works really good for the reverse flick. They did a good job leaving sharpness around the edge here so that you can get in there and really let it flip. And then that cutout for the access to the lock bar really lets you get up high very easily, but it's easy to get down low too. You just got to dig in a little bit there, and it has enough sharpness to where it is not uncomfortable, but it catches very well. So I do like that a lot. The, again, blade is black washed. It has performed well. The edge feels nice on it. It's a little thinner on the grind here, just a skosh thinner than it is out towards the tip. But it's something you have to kind of see in person, and it is barely noticeable. The grind lines look fairly even on both sides, so they did a good job there as well. Really interesting knife indeed from CMB. They did a very good job with the build on this. Now, one of my complaints is going to be this top flipper. In order to actuate it, you have to get your finger right into this cutout here, and you have to be very aggressive with that front flipper. You want to go straight back with it for it to work. The detent is heavier, or it feels heavier for the front flipper, but I think I prefer that because for me, I'm going to probably reverse flick and use that regular flipper tab more often than I'm going to do anything else with this knife. Now, the last thing I wanted to touch on with this particular knife is the fact that it is coming in on Amazon and White Mountain Knives, so I'll link that down for you below if you're interested in this model, coming in at $253. So looking at it from a price perspective, $253, you're getting M390 black wash blade, titanium bolsters and shred carbon fiber overlays with a inset liner lock and a titanium pocket clip on the knife. So very premium build, coming in at a slightly hefty 4.4 ounces, I think it was. That is, you know, a little weighty, but considering all the steel that you have going on in here, it's not that surprising. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on camera, so let me try to grab my flashlight and see if I can show that with the moonlight setting. Maybe you're able to see that it is milled out on the inside there. So it does have weight savings for that steel liner on that side, and then it has milling out towards the back before you get to the liner here. And I do not recall seeing any on the top. Yeah, no milling. Oh, might have some holes there. Is that holes? I'm at such a bad angle, I can't really tell. All right, sorry, I had to try to blow that out a little bit. No, those aren't holes. It's just dust. Just dust. Also, it has a titanium backspacer. I don't think that I mentioned that. So I do want to point that out as well, that it does have the titanium backspacer on there. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else. I think it's titanium hardware. Nope, steel hardware. Or is that the... No, it's the steel liner. Or is it? I think it is... I think it is steel hardware. Feels like steel hardware. I'm not 100% on that, and I didn't see, at least anywhere in the listing, the clarity on that. On top of the flipper tab, I think the only other thing that I don't like on here is that you can see the track for the detent ball. I'm never really a big fan of that. It doesn't hurt anything. I just think aesthetically it kind of takes away a little bit from the design of the knife. Talking about that, the design of the knife is very nice, and I did mention Earlier, I had the Maverick out here because I feel like they're kind of similar designs, not that they look alike or that one is copying the other. Just you have that very gradual drop point on both. You have that similar swoop on that grind for the drop point for cutting. You do not have a lock bar obviously here because you have that crossbar lock, and you have kind of that same very ergonomically friendly shape where it contours on here. It's just more rounded on the Maverick, and it's more of a squared off approach that you see on the CMB made knives. The reason I did bring the Maverick out here though is because this is coming in at $253. So again, on the whole, M390 titanium bolster with steel nested liners. You got shred carbon fiber, titanium pocket clip, titanium backspacer, and what I believe is steel hardware, coming in at $253. For that same price point, you can pick up a micarta variant USA made tactile Maverick with magnet cut steel coming in at a 63 to 64 heat treat. So at that exact same price point, you can get a USA made knife with a very desirable steel at a very impressive heat treat. Crossbar lock is going to be a little bit stronger because it has 100% lockup. So that's something to take into consideration. But for $100 more than both of those models, you can get full titanium with all titanium hardware, titanium pocket clip, and again, titanium hardware on that pocket clip, titanium thumb studs, and you get it in very smooth action, in my opinion, on this knife, and it is going to continue to break in. So my alternative recommendation for this style knife, which is going to be that more premium material, is going to be your tactile Maverick. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other alternative recommendations that you would make in this instant. Let me know what you think about the CMB knives made Darma. Do you like this one? They have one that's a little bit more expensive. I think for $20 more, you can get the aluminum carbon fiber, and you can get the stone washed or belt satin finish. I can't remember which one it is for that blade, so it's a little bit different. But all in all, for that price point, when you think about other Chinese manufacturers and what's coming over from, like, say, Vero Engineering, EMP EDC, Knoll Knives, you know, CMB is very competitive on the price point, and I think the steel hardware helps a little bit with that, not having a designer that's having to make a little bit of money in order to be able to pay the bills. All of that plays a bit of a factor there. Also, those are going to probably be frame lock knives as opposed to a nested steel liner lock on that knife. But I definitely feel like it's a solid build. The action's very nice, detent is very nice, and the finishes are pretty good. I would say that the scales could benefit to be a little bit more rounded or maybe contoured, but that also is personal preference. And I did forget to mention, it does have one of my favorites, and that is going to be the integrated stop pin into the blade. I love that. That's my favorite. When I see that, you don't have the stop pin in the way. You don't have to worry about sharpening choil and lock up to the sharpening choil, which this, with that forward finger choil, has a fantastic sharpening choil. Anyway, that is my full overview of the CMB made Darma. This will be going on to the next person in the pass round. I want to give a shout out to everyone out there that leaves the likes, comments, and is subscribed. I appreciate all the support. I love you guys, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.